One thing you gotta admit, he made a great Santa Claus.
Silvio Dante wasn't comic relief. He was a psychopath hiding in plain sight. For a show obsessed with peeling back layers of its gangsters' lives, The Sopranos did something unusual with Silvio Dante. It didn't bother. Everyone else was gifted at least a small arc. Yes, even Patsy, who managed to immortalize himself by urinating in Tony's pool.
Sorry, Mr. Dante. Sorry.
Your uncle resents that you're the boss.
Sadness accrues.
Yet Silvio, consigliere to Tony Soprano, the man in the middle of nearly every gathering at the Bing or Satriales, remained a curiously static figure.
I feel bad I was the messenger.
The result? A character who was simultaneously unforgettable and underwritten, both indispensable to the family and irrelevant to the show's emotional core.
So I'm only here because I'm a friend of Silvio's, you're a friend of Silvio's.
This wasn't oversight. What we saw of Silvio was his life. He existed in smoke-filled strip clubs, dim back rooms, and the occasional suburban living room, but always with the detachment of a man who had already found his rhythm.
I never saw myself as that kind of guy. I'm more behind the scenes. Advice.
Silvio was Silvio, a loyal soldier, a man who never hungered for the crown, and the most consistent consigliere the show could have imagined. To expect a sweeping arc was to misunderstand his role. He was not designed for transformation. He was designed to be the ballast in a world full of flailing egos and collapsing psyches. And yet, it's hard not to imagine what could have been.
I'm so proud of you.
Acting boss.
When Tony was in a coma, we got a taste of Silvio as acting boss. The experiment was instructive. He buckled under the weight, collapsed into an asthma attack, and confirmed what many suspected. Silvio wasn't number one material. He never had the stomach, or perhaps the self-delusion, required for top billing. That moment, more than any other, cemented his identity. The man born to be second, forever strong in the shadows, but fragile in the spotlight. This doesn't mean Silvio lacked depth. If anything, his life was defined by a chilling duality. On one hand, he was the ultimate company man, a near parody of mafia loyalty, robotic, composed, never one to overstep. On the other, he was capable of horrifying brutality, executed with ice-cold detachment.
Bird you ever see? He's gone. I didn't want to overload you with AJ in the hospital.
I don't want to hear that.
His strangling of Bert Gervasi, his casual execution of Adriana as though she were a rabid dog. It all painted a portrait of a psychopath hiding under the neatly pressed suits and Godfather impressions. Unlike Tony, who agonized, or Paulie, who reveled, Silvio killed with a grim efficiency that left no room for moral theater.
One thing you gotta admit, he made a great Santa Claus.
The only time he ever wavered was with Big Pussy, and even then, his discomfort read more as professional inconvenience than moral conflict. So why didn't we see more of him? Several reasons converge. For one, Steven Van Zandt was not an actor by trade. A guitarist for Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band, he was plucked from obscurity by David Chase, who initially had the audacity to consider him for Tony Soprano himself. HBO, unsurprisingly, balked at the idea of entrusting a billion-dollar show to a man whose only experience with performance involved sideburns and a guitar. Van Zandt was charming, even magnetic, but he was never going to carry the narrative weight of a protagonist. Chase settled him into Silvio, a role that worked precisely because it demanded steadiness, not range. The writing reflected that limitation. While Paulie got his neuroses, Christopher his ambition, and even Bobby his late-blooming transformation into a ruthless soldier, Silvio remained steady, perhaps deliberately so. He was the control in the experiment, the one mobster who wasn't unraveling. The Sopranos was, after all, about Tony. Characters were fleshed out only to the extent they reflected him.
Your friend, Artie, with the restaurant.
Silvio didn't challenge Tony, he enabled him. He was reliable, low maintenance, and therefore narratively expendable. That stability, ironically, makes him fascinating in retrospect. In a world of addicts, narcissists, and self-saboteurs, Silvio might be the closest thing the DeMeo family had to a functional mobster.
Hey, Gabriela says me down here for the gabagool.
He had a family. He had a home life, glimpsed only briefly but implied to be secure and drama-free. His daughter's soccer game showed him as a man who could compartmentalize, capable of leaving work at work, home at home. Half the show took place in his strip club, yet we never saw him collapse into the same debauchery that consumed others.
So, what are you getting your grandma for Christmas?
He was a womanizer, yes, but not an addict. He was violent, but not reckless. A psychopath, but a stable one. He's the type of man who could have worked a 9-to-5 job and been perfectly fine, if not for the small matter of the mafia. Of course, fans hungry for more Silvio have Lilyhammer, Netflix's unlikely spin-off where Van Zandt essentially rehashes the role in witness protection limbo. It's a bizarre, often brilliant show, but also proof that Silvio works best in measured doses.
We're gonna be stealing thousands more of these things.
A consigliere thrives in the shadows. Drag him into the light, and the mystique wilts. Still, the Sopranos teased just enough to remind us what we were missing.
Like the nuns in that convent.
Please, the story here wasn't any better.
His wife, Gabriella, who, despite only a handful of appearances, existed as the picture of domestic normalcy, offered a glimpse of Silvio's stability. Fittingly, she was played by Steven Van Zandt's real-life wife, Maureen, which only added to the quiet authenticity of their scenes together.
Should tell Paramount Pictures to get their shit together.
His scenes delivering blunt assessments, "That woman needs to get laid," showed a dry, cutting humor that could pierce through the haze of mob dramatics.
You going somewhere, T? You want me to drive you?
No.
I usually drive you.
And his devotion to Tony, never wavering, never opportunistic, demonstrated a kind of loyalty that stood in stark contrast to Paulie's paranoia or Christopher's betrayal.
Anyway, we flew first class. What service? Forget about it.
Was Silvio boring? Perhaps to some. His arc, if one insists on calling it that, was an arc of non-change. A man who never tried to become more than he was, who knew his place and stayed in it. But in the context of The Sopranos, that's the point.
You answer me like I'm Jesus Christ himself, and if you fucking lie to me, may your mother die. I can't try the eyes.
Every other character was busy self-destructing under the weight of ambition, insecurity, or moral conflict. Silvio was the calm eye of the storm, the archetypal mobster Tony romanticized but never truly appreciated. He was the rare man in that universe who wasn't deluded about who he was.
Come on,
In the end, the lack of a Silvio-centric storyline is not a failure of imagination, but a deliberate design choice. Some men are meant to be number two. Some characters are meant to be wallpaper that occasionally speaks.
Now?
Hi, Chrissy.
All right. Nobody's making threats.
Silvio Dante embodied both, background and backbone, static yet essential. A consigliere whose greatest narrative service was reminding us that not every mobster needs a meltdown.
Plus Silvio Dante, and we think Bobby Buckley.
The Sopranos wasn't called the Dantes for a reason. Silvio stayed loyal. You can too. Subscribe.